There
Hey,
we go. Hey, my bad.
hey, hey. So no, you haven't done this before.
No, I have. I don't know why, for whatever reason, which probably doesn't bode well. For whatever reason, I wasn't following you, so I don't know why I didn't see you.
I'm not
That
that
would
important.
explain
I don't know what I don't have anything very significant to say. So it's
it.
and or maybe I was unfollowed that one evening. I put pictures of all my favorite Disney characters.
It might be it,
Yeah, including but not limited to Scrooge McDuck,
There's
Wreck-It
a lot
Ralph.
of there's a lot of ongoing investigations into me, so I have to keep.
Oh, well, yeah, you gotta stay low. Yeah, I never, I don't remember. I'm sure that was something that was advised to me several years ago, but it was one too much of a problem. I think I got that stuff all worked out pretty gosh darn good. So, anyway, how are you? How are you?
I'm doing well, doing well. Beautiful day in
Good.
South Florida again. So
Yeah, I was about to ask,
uh,
is the garage door open there?
I've got it closed, but
Uh,
only in case, only for my neighbors' own safety.
okay, all
In
right,
case
all
things
right.
get weird.
It was it's actually like for the weather we have up here, it's actually like pretty hot. I think it got up into the high 40s, like 50s. So it's nice here. It was actually very nice here today.
Excellent, excellent.
When
Well, it has
I got to
its it
get
has its moments.
I got to get used to it because a big part of what we're going to talk about, I think a lot of folks know that Allie and I are moving to that to general area, and when we bought the house last year in Jupiter, as a lot of folks know, we didn't move there. We rented it out, so we're going to be in Wellington, which is a little bit south of West Palm Beach, right?
Correct. Horse country, center
Yes,
of the
yes, yes.
equestrian universe.
Okay, well, it's also where we got a very nice house at a good price and still within driving distance. Some of the old heads that always like to tell us what to do, meaning clients that pay you a lot of money, so you have to listen to them, is they said like if you're gonna drive, more than 30 minutes, more than 20 minutes, just stay up in New York. And I'm like, no, like that doesn't make sense to me. Like, because we were saying like, all right, if I have to drive far to where I need to get to, it's not that big a deal. I'm used to, driving, 70, 80 minutes one way in order to get to work or to get to the airport, get where you have to go. And they're like, no, you shouldn't move to Florida then. I said, all right, well, we have not heeded that advice because Wellington's going to be a little well where the house is in Wellington, like to get up to where we would typically have a lot of clients on Jupiter Island, that could be
Mhm.
almost an hour without
Yeah,
traffic. Yeah.
it's a little bit of a haul, but I mean, I'm from the Northeast as well, so obviously commute. We're spoiled down here. I mean, I live my entire life in basically a 10-minute circle, so the commute, it's a commute. But you got podcasts
Well,
and all kinds of stuff you can do in the car now, so it's not that big of a deal.
and we were planning to be up closer to where you live, because it's just more central to a lot of the things that we'll be doing. But then, obviously, the market is significantly different now than it was when we bought the house, which was before the shutdown. And so but the house in Wellington looks really, really nice. We're gonna I mentioned earlier today in a text. I'll be down there again 15, 16, and 17. So we'll um, we'll figure out maybe how we can catch some clients. But one of the things we could talk about is the very happy and excited that Ali and I will be welcome in your new gym. So why don't you talk a little bit about the gym that you had, the type of things you're doing there in terms of golf, fitness, and general fitness, and then maybe the positive things that led to this new gym that hopefully now we're 9 weeks out because it was
Yeah.
10 last week. I'm guessing it might still be 10, but we'll see how it goes.
Who knows? Yeah. 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 So
Okay.
obviously, I Coast Performance, the original one in 2010, in about I think 3,300 square feet. And it's funny. I like to think that maybe I opened like a black hole into this area because there was really nothing relative to what's going on here now in the fitness world. There was nothing around yet. There was commercial gyms and a few scattered trainers and stuff like that. But now, obviously, the landscape has definitely changed in Palm Beach County, and really a lot of really talented coaches and a lot of really exciting facilities. So we have had that facility for 11 years now. So we basically, obviously pandemic kind of threw everything for a loop last year, because it kind of put everything up in the air as far as what I wanted to do, with regard to another lease, another facility. The facility has expanded to 6,600 square feet, something like that. So obviously the overhead becomes an issue, and you really don't build into a business plan for just revenue to just stop for 2 months, 2 months plus. So because obviously expenses don't stop. So, but we made it through all that, and along the way, I kind of said, I should look around and see what we could take advantage of with regard to, an updated facility and adding more amenities and expanding on what we were already doing, because our facility had been, more than sufficient. But I was looking to find a more finished space. We've been really lucky. We've obviously managed to attract a client base that's slightly more sophisticated, shall we say. So, the kind of the warehousey, warehousey space look had kind of run its course. And so anyway, long story short, started looking around last fall, had one space that was going to work, unfortunately, without getting too much into details, that kind of fell through. So that kind of threw our timeline for a loop. I think we started talking last year a little bit, myself and you and Allie. And so long story short, we ended up with what I think is going to actually be a longer-term build-out. And so we're about 10 to 12 weeks out of the new facility, very close to PGA Boulevard, like 500 yards away from our old facility. And very excited because, one of the things, and some of the we've become involved in the golf world, we're going to have a really, really talented, obviously Mitch Stetson, been with me. She's been with us like 4 years now. Mitch is, golf Digest top 50 fitness instructor. Works with PGA Tour players. So we've got a ton of talent. We've got talented golf instructors, putting instructors. So we're going to expand on the golf, the quality that we've had a TrackMan simulator in the facility for a while, but we're going to expand on the golf aspect of the program as well. So long story short, we're really excited. We got about 10 to 12 weeks and until that facility is ready. So kind of ended up with a little gap here, which I think it's very tough to get to not be able to see clients in their normal environment and kind of break up everybody's routine. But we're making the best of it in the meantime. And
and that's when because as often that it's available, that's your office is my office in your background there, and to be able to see people that you just explain to them, hey, listen, this is a very clean space. It's got but it happens to be a residential garage, and that's if somebody that doesn't click with them, then that's okay. And obviously in this new space, it's kind of cool to be able to build something out. So myself, Allie, Dr. Eric, who's actually a real healthcare provider, not a sick care provider, all going to be in some way, shape, or form a part of this project under your brand. Like you're the captain, you're the colonel of this, and I'll tell you what I'm just excited about is like what you mentioned, and we have talked about. Like I'm not against the all-star team, and now you have three people that are in the top 50 Golf Digest list, which is a very esteemed list. When you talk about Allie, I'm not going to talk too much, even though she would probably prefer that I do. I will just say that there are not a lot of women on that list, and I'm very proud of any woman that can be celebrated in any kind of male-dominated profession. But and then I'm good at carrying things. But to be able to put together experiences rather than just individual workouts, or even more than a fitness program, to create an experience where if someone truly is interested in improving, even if it's their general fitness or their golf fitness, which typically are one and the same for most of the people that engage. I don't think they would agree with that, but unless you're a professional golfer and a high training age, which you simply do not see much of, their training plan from a general level doesn't really look that much different from somebody who doesn't care about golf. As they get better, you become more focused in that. But to create and have both technology equipment, but also human resources that can provide that experience, that's going to be pretty special. And I don't think there's a lot of people or places anywhere that are going to do that. Obviously, golf is culturally very, very powerful in that part of the Florida, where when you say yes, just so everybody knows, in Palm Beach Gardens, which is one town north of West Palm Beach. You mentioned that the new facility is going to be very close to PGA Boulevard. That is the name of a real road. It's not a special road that goes into this. Obviously, it does lead into a golf and residential development. However, there's a lot of just golf is big time there, and I would not be so suppositious that a golf fitness facility of this stature can work everywhere. That's not the message. But what can work everywhere is when you bring the right people together and everybody's good with their role. That's how that's how 1 + 1 = 3. And I'm really excited to see if we can make that happen. Where it's that to me is what's exciting, because obviously I'm gonna be in Boca. I'll probably wind up being up and down the coast, as well as flying to other places that I typically do. But that's going to be the new home, and I'm very thankful that you feel good enough. Whereas I think as we've talked about other situations, sometimes that doesn't really work. Sometimes people like beating their chest, and if they think that some team members would have the intention, even if they don't have the intention, to outshine each other, now 1 + 1 = 0, and that's an ugly situation. And I'm very thankful that there's enough trust here that we can put together something that's really going to be staggering. And at the same time, a zebra doesn't change its stripes. I typically look at things through the lens of battle, and I'm looking to dominate. And if that bothers other people that have had the chance to do things and didn't have the balls to do it, or didn't have the team to do it, hey, you know what? That's how it goes. And we're going to do that with a very positive approach, not by slamming other people, or not by being a negative force, but because the other thing that person probably doesn't understand is that in a rising tide, many ships will sail, and but we're gonna have the best ship, and that's a great way to be able to help people, and that's
I think that's an important point too. I think that I've always been of the mindset that like you said, I think the more talent, it's funny, I tell people, like, it was harder when I started, in 2010 here, when there wasn't a lot of quality, nationally known facilities and trainers in the area yet, because it was basically like I was trying to sell something that nobody really understood. It was sort of, there was like, what do you, again, it's sort of a functional training, whatever you want to call what I was doing, which is along the lines of the way we sort of come out of the For Better world. Nobody else is, people were kind of looking at like, what are you doing? What does that mean? What is a functional movement screen? Like, I don't, it was very much sort of an old school kind of meathead culture. And now since then, obviously we've had a lot of really well-known people come to the area, and I think it's been better because now people are like, oh, okay, like I've seen that. I recognize what he's doing. And now it's more a matter of, okay, there's a lot of really quality, talented people. Now it's more matching the right type of clients. But the reality is, I would say conservatively within 15 miles of that facility. And again, we're talking golf, but like that's only a part of who we both service, from the athlete and client standpoint. But, there's 30 high-end private clubs with 200 plus members within 10, 15 miles of the facility. So it's like, you don't need everybody to come there. I think you just need the more quality people we have in the area that are sort of doing the right stuff and kind of preaching the same message.
I think what one of the things that funnels into is, a very intelligent business model doesn't always mean good business. I had a very critical call this morning where, like the idea makes a ton of sense. But maybe the reason no one's doing it is because the market doesn't want it, or maybe they don't want it because they don't understand it. And with the incredible density of call a spade, an individual that does have enough discretionary income to run your business model, that's important. I think people miss that point sometimes, where you decide how much you want to make, but then don't open a business if the people don't even have the discretionary income to meet your goals. And there's just such a density, and now they're gonna understand, because I think what we're also gonna be, what I'm very excited about, and I guess it's gonna be marketing, where if somebody wants to improve their movement, whether it be golf or whatever it is that they do, this facility is going to have a seamless consistency between people that can help you swing the golf club better, people that are going to help you do whatever movement you want to do longer from a fitness standpoint, and then from my end and the folks in the therapy space, being able to get into those positions with as little cost as possible. And we could substitute golf for any sport. Obviously I'm in a lot of other sports, other than golf, but a lot of those guys like to play golf. But ultimately, if we had a basketball court, instead of some of these golf things, we would have, legitimate basketball trainers. Not we'd probably get away from some of the Instagram stuff. And if you're trying to coach any type of athlete, what is the standard for the technical skills? I'm not going to have anything to do with that. I just like to hit the ball far, and we'll get to some other things on how we view golf fitness. But I need that golf pro to tell me, and then I'm going to say, no, stop coaching, because he can't do that. Like, if you want him to do that, and that's the only way that you think that individual can be successful, then just work on putting, because they physically are incapable of doing that. Let's take a couple weeks and do this other stuff. And I think there's going to be enough good people with good individual business models that's all going to work together. And even though everybody kind of does different things, and there'll be separate businesses within the business, that's the model, man. That's what I'm excited to be able to show people, that don't have whatever it is to put all that together. I was on another call this afternoon with a gentleman who's got a lot of really fantastic content in basketball, and some of his struggles on just like maybe, but then we're going to get to how you've been able to get past the challenge of somebody that is very skilled in fitness, but how do you communicate that to the basketball? I'm sorry, to the golf pro. Now, you have significant history of golf prior to your fitness, which we're going to talk a little bit about. But I'm just, I take a lot of pride, and when I talk about something, it's not blue sky. It's not like I made it up and then I'm just talking about good things. I've done it, and I've probably failed at it, and to have the previous generation of coaches that we had in Canada basketball, like Jay Troiano and Dave Smart and Nate Mitchell, who's still with us with the current generation, and Roy Rana, like they understand that sometimes a sport specific solution is solved from fitness or therapy, which is some other form of performance fitness, and that is always a common discussion in communicating with golf professionals. I was waiting online to get my badge a couple of years ago at the PGA merchandise show, and a couple of bruisers behind me. Probably one of them's waist was 42, the other one was 46, and they're looking at the chart and they're like, the golf fitness. What are they going to tell me? I should stretch my hamstrings? It's but when you can get matched up with a technical coach who actually is cool with them not creating the solution, but being part of this championship is a good thing. So I'm also very excited to put that into play. And I know you are, but I'm going to guess, Brenda, you have not had a lot of the same challenges because you had a significant golf career prior to 2010 when you opened the spot.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they always say don't be a generalist, but I guess in this space I sort of ended up that way. I was in the golf business prior to ending up, running a full-time fitness, moving into golf fitness, and then full-time into fitness. So I kind of have ended up sort of in that weird world where I'm a little bit between. I can sort of hang with both classes, and I think that, there's lessons to learn from both industries for sure. But yeah, I think I guess the only challenging thing for me sometimes is kind of which. How far do I go, like in the golf direction? Because I do have people I work with that I'm, for better or for worse, their swing coach, and then I have people that I don't address that world at all. In addition to their own fitness things. So I've found that I kind of live in both worlds, and obviously we've had the hitting bay in the last facility. So there definitely is sometimes a challenge still to communicate, like you said, just trying to get people to understand. The golf swing instructors to understand sort of why, how the fitness thing all ties in, and what the person's capable of, and then not going too far the other way. I think sometimes I've a couple of instances with golf instructors where they almost dump the whole thing on the fitness side or on the physical side. I don't know if you've experienced that, but I've had it a couple times.
Absolutely.
Oh, this guy. Oh, well, he can't hit a fade because until you fix his left hip internal rotation, like he's never going to fade it. So
really, and then you right in front of them, you show them that they have 60 degrees of hip internal rotation. Like, what do you got on that, golf pro?
And even even if a person can't physically stand up, you should still be able. You can still
absolutely
get them to golf. There's still club mechanics that are still part of the equation. I think that's matching those two and saying, hey, particularly with a club golfer, a senior club golfer, they're never going to be the athletic prototype out there, and they don't want to be. They don't want to spend that time. So I think that relationship with the instructor of just, okay, what's this person willing to do? How are we going to keep them healthy first and foremost, keep them playing, and then where's sort of that trade-off or that kind of happy medium with, okay, that's about physically what 80-20. That's about physically what we can do with them easily, and here's how that's going to sort of maximize their swing potential and what they can do.
So obviously it wasn't this year, it was the year before that I presented at the PGA merchandise show, commonly known PGA show. It was not the same year that I was waiting in line with those two upstanding individuals. And I talked about three case studies, one of which, it was like what I just kind of alluded to was, let me see if I can run this shtick. So my client, so I got referred from a golf pro. So it was like they wanted me to be a part of the solution. So there was some barriers that were really positively not there. So that was really good. So he was like, she can't posteriorly tilt. I need you to help me help her, figure out why she doesn't do a posterior tilt. And the client's name, let's say her name was Kelly. because her name was Kelly. And so I put Kelly down on one, same shtick from the PGA show. So that's I'm like, most people can posteriorly tilt. Maybe they don't do it when they swing the golf club. So before I did the evaluation, or at least at a cursory level, I'm like, Kelly, do me a favor, kneel down on one knee, tighten your bottom as hard as you can. And I said, you know, whatever. Now I actually don't remember the golf. Oh no, Scott, his name was. I said, Scott, is that the pelvic tilt that you're looking for? And he's like, yeah, exactly. I said, it's a golf problem. Teach her how to do it in a golf swing. Like, there's no therapy that is required here to get her to do it. That lives in the motor skill development of your golf swing. There's a reason she's not doing it. And then I went in to suggest, okay, like, does she ever do it? Like, does she do it the first time? Does she do it the 10th time and then not the 11th? Because then maybe it's not a motor skill problem, it's a fitness problem. And she just gets gassed that quickly that she goes to a different motor strategy. And again, those are things that a golf pro typically doesn't appreciate. But to Scotty's defense and his praise, he brought her to create a solution that he wanted someone else to help him with. So there's always that piece, but that's where, you know, you just throw the ball right back at him and be like, dude, this is your solution. It is your intervention to help. There's nothing. I could have her do a posterior tilt. She did it like without any. It almost looks like it's part of the evaluation. So that is, you know, big a challenge sometimes.
Always, you know, like they got a lot of stuff going on. So like, I think for us to be a resource and help them as best we can, you know, I think that's building those kind of relationships with instructors that, you know, they may not want to know, that may not be the only hat they wear as an instructor. So I think, like you said, I think kind of communicating as clearly and concisely as we can of, okay, you know, here's a basic solution to get things working again, and not, you know, not expect them to know everything.
Yeah.
I think that's you know, I think that's one of the real valuable relationship you can make.
Yeah, no question. And you know, it's fun to be the. I mean, I'm pretty sure it doesn't matter who said it to me, because I don't know that he wants to be a part of this message, but he did tell me the first time I was up on stage for TPI, he's like, do whatever you want, man. You're the bulldog off the leash, because they wanted, like, there was enough trust that I significantly do understand the game of golf, but what I don't understand is those challenges and why golfers think they're different than other athletes, when in fact, golf is a lot more similar to a hammer throw or a shot put than anything else. And genetics and how much people eat is the only real difference. You would actually train them both the same way. A 340-pound shot putter just handles more load. The exercises are actually exactly the same. So let me ask you this. Where were you the first time you heard the term golfish?
Golfish?
Yeah.
I guess right here on this call.
Right now.
Yeah, right.
So the same person who allowed me to be up on stage and said I'm the bulldog off the leash, he asked me at the first World Golf Fitness Summit. So I've spoken at 4, keynoted 1. And he's like, so what do you think? And I'm like, man, this shit is all golfish. And that wasn't planned. That was like the first word that came to my mouth. And he knew exactly what I meant. He's like, no, I know, but we're getting better. The golf pros and the golf, because in my estimation, and you know, whether it's in New York City and the clubs around here, which has a very similar density to down there, most golf fitness professionals just want to be a golf pro. That's it. They dress like a golf pro. They know a lot about golf. They love playing with their clients. And they just don't take the time to go through whatever the formal channels are to be a proper coach. And they might even know what they're doing, but they don't want to deal with fitness. They just want to do all these exercises that look like golf and you take the Kaiser, which may be to your left, and you put the club up on you start. There's no training that ever says that this is a good idea, but it feels like golf. So the definition to golfish, which I made up at that time, is of or like the sport of golf, usually to an excessive degree. The secondary definition, golfish, can apply to any sport. So usually excessive degree of or like your sport of choice, usually to an excessive degree. So doing a speed ladder with a basketball would also be golfish, which allows you to say things that are usually pretty funny and people don't know what you're talking about. Very, very good strategy of messing with people. But that's where another thing that I really think we're going to be very, very successful at, number one, not being golfish, because that's not how athletes train. Golfers are athletes. And what I'd like you to give your opinion on here, Brennan, is what I said before. Golfers think they're different, and I'd like to know why. Why did those fat pigs standing behind me think that they were so different that they didn't need to do this? Or because you don't really see it in other sports to a degree. You're going to see wild speed and agility workouts, but the speed agility workout for football looks a lot like the one for basketball, which looks a lot like the one for lacrosse when people get into that level of training. They're really just getting kids tired. But I'll share some things after you go. But why do golfers think they're different?
My experience, I guess the only thing I would say, and it's changed a lot now, obviously, but my background being, I played college baseball and being around baseball a lot. Golf and baseball are similar from a mindset in that they're both ridiculously, they almost require a degree of trying to think of the word I'm looking for, but like a degree of so much like self-confidence to a level that's almost irrational. And I think the best golfers I've been around and some of the best baseball players I've been around, there is sort of like it's just there's a different psychology, I think, to it. And I think I think that might be some of why. And I think just there's so many examples of people that aren't, obviously if you want to play middle linebacker, you have to lift weights, right? There's probably never been in the last 30 years a middle linebacker that wasn't, 230 pounds at least with, 5% body fat and strong. So, you need the athletic side, but everybody in golf always likes to point to John Daly or Tim Herron or one of these people that says, what about that guy? He doesn't need it. So I think there's sort of like that mentality, I think, sometimes in golf. And I think there's very much a correlation issue sometimes with, some of the better players I've been around. It's like, why didn't I play well yesterday? Or why did I have a bad month? And it might have been the putter. But I did this stretch, or I started stretching, or I started working out, or they'll maybe create a correlation, or at the very least not having a long enough change to try to make, and just sort of say, okay, that doesn't work for me. I tried, I've heard that conversation. As in all exercises somehow the same. I think sometimes there's a correlation. Like I said, baseball, we used to see a little bit of that too. Baseball has obviously changed a lot from a performance standpoint. But I remember,
Well, look, there's no doubt that should there be significant hypertrophy, it can affect swinging an implement, including a lacrosse stick. But I don't think intelligent golf fitness involves that, because number one, not only how you train, but if you don't eat, you're not going to hypertrophy. So at the same time, when you reference some of those golfers that appear to have no fitness, they actually have brilliant exploitation of fitness for the game of golf in terms of force equals mass times acceleration. Because even if you're a fat mess, you have significant mass. And that means you have at least one of the two factors that increase force. So, you see the same thing in baseball pitchers, where a lot of them appear to not be in great cardiovascular shape. They, think of Roger Clemens post Toronto Blue Jays, which obviously he made some decisions that were clearly happening in Toronto. And he looked heavy, like he looked fat. He had like chins. But if you have a ton of mass, you can get the same force with less acceleration. And if you choose to use less acceleration, there's less need for deceleration, which is where the injuries typically happen. So when you look at that's like perfect. Now, if you would have lean mass and not have a chest and a biceps that gets in the way of your swing, well, then you got, it doesn't wash. And for me, I don't know if my voice or even the one I'm using right now is the right voice to explain that, but that's like a brick wall. There's no response. Like what I just said is it's Greg Rose has a video describing when they first started to work with Rory. So I'll talk about that publicly because it's out there. When he was young, and Rory, first of all, Rory just looks like he lifts. I mean, that part I don't understand. Like, he's hulking, or if you. We just got HBO Max, so we just watched the Tiger. Look at his biceps. Wait, Tiger's a linebacker. Yeah, like a freshman linebacker that doesn't even play. Like
golf's so funny like that because golfers look so much bigger on TV and baseball players look smaller, like relative to when you see them in real life. Like golfers, Rory shot a thing with the Golf Channel at our facility with Don Saladino a couple years ago, and you see him. He doesn't look on TV. He looks bigger. But Tiger, same deal.
You got a tight shirt. Yeah, you wear a tight fitted shirt, whatever. But my point is, you look at him, and he's not a big, fat guy, which we see a lot of golfers and pitchers that are very successful like that. But when he started to put weight on, they cleaned up some of his injuries based on what I just said. Because let's say your force is a generic number of 10, and you get it from 5 units of mass and the other way. Let's say you get it from 2 units of mass and 5 units of acceleration. 5 times 2 equals 10. So 10 is your number. You'd love to have 11, but you can't get to 11. You can flip-flop the 5 and the 2. Absolutely. And you get the same 10. So if you put on some lean mass, like what Rory did versus other, Craig Stadler and other, very, very successful golfers, but I could get into that as well. You see it in tennis, especially with the young females, where they're so mobile, they can create all this force, but they're so weak, because they're so little, and they can't slow down their arms, so they wind up with a labrum. Now, here's the thing. You don't see as many of those big fat guys because, first of all, you can be very, very fat and have good fitness. They're called offensive linemen, okay? That's allowed. That's allowed, the type of fitness that you express. But if you're totally miserable, you don't make it. There's not as many of them. If there was, there would be more of those examples of John Daly, et cetera, because you can't practice golf unless you're fit. And I've run the numbers. I don't have them committed, but like if you're at the range and you whack, and then you take the ball, you whack, you might hit 50 maximum effort rotations in like 10 minutes. Think about how many times you would do a max effort rotation in any given 10 minutes playing 18 holes.
Yeah,
twice.
Exactly.
Maximum twice. So you can afford to play the game not fit, but you cannot afford to have quality practice.
Correct,
It's just train. And again, I would love to, maybe record something and what do you got now, Mr. Golf Pro? Like tell me where you're at now on those two issues, because training all the that's very important. And up here. And look, I do think people should know, Florida did close down. You just described some business things that were very unfortunate. Florida is, my part of the country looks at Florida as like a bunch of wild renegades.
Yeah,
But
there was a
up
time
here,
there was a time where we were actually doing better than like other states, and it was a very weird thing because I'm so used to the rest of the country looking at us like, you know, we're the pandemic, we're the safest state with the lowest rate, one of the
yeah.
lowest rates, and we're trying to keep
Yeah, Brendan, your connection is not going through. But what I hope, what I think you're saying is, you know, Florida still has some issues, and what I was going to say was golf up here was one of the only things that was open for people, and I was able to be in the gym, whereas a lot of other people weren't because it was physical therapy, and I have a husband and wife that were training, consistently throughout the entire time, and this is a big time country club, golf club up here, country club because they have other things. Male member champion, female member champion, and husband wife member champion, and they do a lot of golf exercises. They also deadlift and they skip and they throw shit over their head and they throw heavy med balls, etc. So there's a place for those things, but unfortunately, to discount and deny the real physiological factors of golf compared to other sports that have similar work to rest is really unfortunate, and that's where I still struggle to understand why that is, because you can train hard and not get big, just don't eat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like, I mean, you always hear that sometimes with
Hey, Brendan, you froze up again there. But again, it sounded like you were agreeing. Hey, you're back now. It sounded like you were agreeing with at least some of the sentiments. Maybe I get a little frustrated because I don't understand why people don't they think that somehow physiology doesn't work to them, or they're on a different planet and gravity doesn't work for them. I don't get that. Here's one. PGA PGA player, had a very special FedEx run a couple years ago, and this is what he said. He said golf obviously is typically this very ivory tower country club environment. That's its culture. That's where it comes from, and obviously those people that are old school country club mentality, he said they look at people with big arms as the help. They look at that it's a very deviant mindset, hopefully not one shared by many, but he was just giving his opinion to answer the questions that I was asking. And he was like, so those people that create the culture of golf and then pass it down to others, they would look at people that had a physical stature as the gardener and the guy that took care of the grounds, and maybe people that did work around the house, and they look down upon that. And he's like, not that this is okay, it's just a discussion. Obviously, it probably extends to some other things that are completely disgraceful. But he's like, that's part of why intelligent people refuse to acknowledge the laws of Earth. Like it's because they look down upon people that constantly challenge the gravity. And that was a very interesting thing where it's at least plausible. It wasn't my idea. It was a PGA golfer, not a pro, not a teaching pro, a legit player, hitting the ball far. So that's another thing. It's interesting. It's where it's not good, but it's at least interesting. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's definitely well, and you've seen that. Just, I mean, even professional golfers themselves were sort of considered amateur golf was always sort of the elite team there for a while. Now it's now the professional golfer is a much more highly regarded stature relative to what it used to be.
Oh, no question. You mentioned something else about psychology, and in my experience, the most challenging psychology actually lives in the world of tennis. Where your coach isn't even allowed to talk to you while you're playing tennis, and the correlates to tennis and golf, or at least in golf, you have your caddy, which may or may not be of use as a coach. They're very, very similar, where you're on an island, and I think that's what you were describing. Like, in golf, you're a little bit more, I would just say a little less on the island because you do have someone to talk to. Whereas a tennis player, if they actually talk to their coach during the proper match, this is a penalty, this is a foul, and to be literally on an island is very, very similar in tennis. But I will say this, I had the privilege of working with one of the best tennis players on tour, and we were at Wimbledon, and they set up a makeshift gym for the athletes to train, and I probably tweeted it at the time. It was some of the best training that I had ever seen for professional athletes, with the exception of the Americans. They were doing the golfish shit. They had the Bosu ball dancing around with little ball, and then this one over here is doing like box squats, and this one's doing like legit stuff. The older tennis players, or I guess were the coaches, at least they were working hard doing dumb core work. Yeah. But the silliness, the stuff that doesn't translate to the game, but it looks like oh, we're working on balance. Of course you are. Is that the first or second ACL you just had? The Americans were the only ones. Now, I tend to think that the strength coaches that populate the roles of training European tennis players, they're coming from a much more cultured background of strength and conditioning. They probably coached track athletes, and that's how they were training tennis players, which is pretty gosh darn good idea. And I think particularly on the men's side, I think that speaks for itself in terms of, I'm not sure there's I think more recently there's been a couple Americans that have shown some promise. Obviously the women much higher in their standings, but American men tennis is pretty much trash. Compared to the rest of the world. So that was very interesting, where they trained heavy and hard and using a lot of exercises that would probably be frowned upon by a lot of USTA members, similar to what you see in golf. So we're gonna work with good people and be good people and make as many friends as possible. But hopefully they respect the laws of Earth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
So what else here? When we get down there, my buddy's restaurant is not open yet. They're still building it out. But have you had Pig Beach yet at the pop-up?
Pig Beach.
No, haven't heard of that one.
Have not heard of that one. I'm like,
you're good.
Yeah, I need to check that out. Where's that located at?
So I don't know where they bring the truck because the restaurant isn't ready yet. But it's in New York City. It's probably the best barbecue that there is, and my buddy's clients, they own it. The chef is he used to be at Del Posto, which is one of the biggest top restaurants in New York City, and yeah, so they're starting to put some spots elsewhere because, of course, the sixth borough of New York is Jupiter and West Palm Beach.
It's getting, yeah. I mean, when you get off the airplane at PBI, they say welcome to the best of everything, and it's kind of getting that way. We really are. It's a little obnoxious to say, but it really is. I grew up just outside Boston, and I love it up there, but you can't really beat the lifestyle down here or what's going on down here right now.
Yeah. Well, look, it was when I talk about Rob, and who's one of the owners of Pig Beach. When I tell people, like, it's not just the same people that we know up here. It's not the same type, not the same, No, it's literally the same people. They have a house up here and they have a house down there. So
yeah. Well, you and I have had that conversation. Cool. It's like, half the people you knew in New York City, the places who are in New York City. I'm like, oh yeah, I know that guy. So
oh yeah, and now at least one more professional athlete. You got to meet Brad, right?
Yep. Yeah.
You told that to Allie, like you did. All right, like so. Hopefully we can bring a couple more around there, and
why not?
His jersey will be up in the office there, so that'd be cool.
Yeah. Why not? Like I said, that's kind of the cool thing down here. Everything it's all pretty laid back. That's kind of the Jupiter lifestyle. It's Jupiter Gardens. It's people are relaxed, people are happy, and random people in your garage.
Are you speaking of that? Are you able to take new people? Can people get in touch with you to kind of get in the loop here, or what are you doing there?
Yeah, so we've got obviously a big component we moved more into during the COVID stuff, and now it's a big part of what we do in general. I think it kind of comes to a lot of what we were talking about. Is I think the future really is in the terms sort of ubiquitous, but like client management, in that people are going to be in different places and traveling and all that other stuff. So a big component of what we do is the online piece, and we deliver that through an app. So we can do that anywhere. I've actually got a private studio in West Palm Beach now that I can work with clients out of, and we're doing some outdoor group stuff. I mean, the downside of sort of the way we do things being unique at our facility when we're normally running, in that it's obviously we do private training, but we do a lot of like supervised stuff. It's sort of hard to replicate anywhere. So that's been the challenge since we've been closed. It's hard to go to another facility and say, hey, 75-ish random people are going to show up throughout the day and go carry around iPads with their workouts on them, and I'm going to supervise them and somehow not be in your way. So the good and bad thing about having a unique delivery system is that it's not reproducible. So, but we are doing, private training, online training, some group stuff as we go through, and spending the rest of my time basically trying to push the construction as fast as possible.
Do that. Keep doing that. Where do they find that, man? Where Coastal Fitness? I mean, I'm sure the website is still functional, right?
Yeah. Somehow people have managed to. It's funny. I've had, for some reason, more leads since we've been temporarily shut down than I normally have, which is, of course, that's how things go, Murphy's Law. But coastal-performance.com. Instagram's Body by Brendan is my fitness one, and then Coastal Performance, all one word, is that. Facebook, any of the normal things we get through, and our app is Coastal Performance 168 on the App Store, which they can download directly. And like I said, I think we use the term 168 for the app because there are 168 hours in a week, and I think the way I've explained to people, it's great if you show up at our facility for 3 hours a week, but there's 165 other hours for you to have on your entire week. And obviously yourself and Allie know that as well as anybody. It's how can we help you influence your nutrition, influence your recovery, influence your at home. I think that's the big lesson I've realized with all this too, is that another component I want to have is like, hey, there's some stuff you should just have at home, even if you're coming to our facility, because I know you can bang out 15 or 20 minutes a couple extra times a week and make a lot more, have a ton more value. So even if I can just send you home with like a kettlebell and a couple bands and stuff like that, and just convince you to go out in your garage and do 20 minutes a supplement, there's synergistic effect, the more,
Yeah.
the easier you can make it for people to do it. Just say, hey, you don't have to drive to the facility. You don't have to spend an hour in a training session. I just want you twice a day for 15 minutes to do these two things. And we're going to give you the video through the app, and I'm going to check in and make sure you did it. And you can communicate me on how to do it. But, I think the more we can help.
You're still, you're still affected. You're still touching them, figuratively touching them.
Exactly. At the end of the day, people are buying a solution. It's like, you don't, if it takes me 20 sessions or one session to help you lose 20 pounds, do you really care? It's like if I told you it was $2,000 either way and we could do it in an hour, we could do it in 20 hours.
Yep, I got it.
I want the solution. And I know that's always been your thing with therapy too.
We sell a result. We don't sell an experience per se, even though I used that term before. That's a marketing term. You're gonna show up for an experience, because in this facility you're gonna be able to do a lot of things that can eat up some hours or days.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be down there. Allie will be down there. We're gonna come and get some furniture and whatever. But we'll do another pop up, 15, 16, and 17 between up Jupiter, Palm Beach Gardens, and then I'll probably be down in Boca part of that time as well. But we're setting people up so that when the gym is ready, that this will be a very seamless entry into the gym that they probably do need to be a part of if this is something that they're after. Trying to have an athletic development program with a golf focus is very hard to do in a general population gym. It's just the way it is, because that's not how most people are training. So we're going to try to kind of get people as close to that as we can, and then when the doors open, it's going to be exciting. Hopefully I haven't gone to the Olympics yet by the time that happens, but we'll just start whenever it starts, and I'm glad people at least know about it, but they can get into the loop and get influenced by your touch figuratively, so that even if a portion of them continue to train live in the gym when it happens, then they're gonna be able to hit the ground running and get access to some pretty special technology that can also improve their golf game. So maybe we'll call it a day then. What do you think? Anything else?
No. An hour flew right by.
Yeah. Has it been an hour?
It's been it's been about an hour.
All right. How about that? Well, it just made sense. Yeah. So, all right, man. Well, good stuff. We got to find Pig Beach. We got to, all the. What's the other one that's like turtle, something turtle?
The Thirsty Turtle?
Yeah, that's a little bit north, right? That's
that's Jupiter. That's they're famous for their wings. It's a Yankees bar though, like a New York Yankees bar.
So that's not okay. All right.
And being from Boston, it's tough. I like to support local businesses, but
not that one.
It's a weird feeling. It just feels strange.
There's probably going to be more than 6 Yankee fans around, so we're gonna be all right. Everything's gonna work out.
We had our run. It's not the same world it was in 2000 when we were just super miserable Red Sox fans. We've had our 20 years.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I'll see you in about a week and a half. If people want to check in with me, dry needling is allowed in Florida. There's nothing under the table, nothing clandestine, and I am licensed and I waited, so no bullshit, no. Come find me. So we're gonna be. I'm able to see people, and then hopefully it'll just be a couple more weeks till everything's in order. So, all right, man. Well, good stuff. Thank you for coming on, and we'll see you in about a week and a half.
Sounds good. Thanks, Charlie.
All right, man.
Good night.